Hi everyone, welcome back to If My Heart Had Wings, Kotori's Route, Episode 6. So, for Kotori, she is still skeptical on whether or not Aoi truly loves her. And when she went home for the Obon Festival with her family, she had watch out for Aoi going out with other girls. So in a sense, she still doesn't really trust Aoi even though he says so. So anyways, while Kotori's away, Aoi and Ageha are discussing the improvements that they made to the glider, and they're making some fixes, doing some adjustments. And for the new glider, the one big distinctive feature is that the wings that they use are swept forward, and that's in contrast to many of the airplanes that we see. So they're either straight or swept back like you see on a passenger jet. And it helps because the wings are placed behind the center of gravity. So it does help compensate for the misplacement because the front end is heavy. It has to be because it has to accommodate 2 passengers. So they're going to be working overnight at this dock or hangar to get all those fixes in as soon as possible. And as a result, they're eating in here. So let's see how it goes. So it looks like they're just done eating. But before that,
それじゃあ、私はそろそろ帰るよ。
so Amane, who had finished her dinner, picked up her helmet and key, which had been lying on the desk. Wait. So Amane, what's that?
これか？原付の免許を取ったんだ。ここに来るのにあると便利だからな。
So I remember the translation was like, I can ride a small motorcycle. So like a motor-driven cycle. Whoa, so you drive a scooter, Amane?
うん、そうだぞ。高くなければ平気だぞ。注意1秒、怪我一生。くれぐれも事故には注意してくださいね。どうしてみんな同じことを言うかな。
Well, based on Amane's dexterity, it can be questionable that she can ride a scooter or a motorcycle. So Amane mutters while preparing to go home.
ああ、そうだ。
So what else? So Amane remembers something and went back to the office computer. So everyone is curious and gathers in front of the monitor.
シミュレーターをバージョンアップしておいたから適当に使ってくれ。
Okay, so new update. Whoa, wow.
何か変わったんですか？
So what's different in this new version?
データを改良機のものに直しておいた。
Oh, so it's now reflecting off of the new glider. So I took the performance numbers and crunched it in, and Amane says while moving a face that says, well, shouldn't that be obvious?
さっき暇だったからやっておいた。前からやろうと思ってたんだ。待ってる間にやっちゃったんですか？
So Amane nods in puzzlement. So she's a rather eccentric person. So I don't think anybody would expected that Amane would be working on the software for the simulator while she was doing her business work.
ついでに敵グライダーとドッグファイトを展開するシューティングモードもつけてみた。
Oh, so as a bonus feature, I added this combat feature where you can have a little fight. So who's in the enemy glider? a dogfight in a glider doesn't seem so cool.
それじゃあ帰るぞ。葵くん、ご飯ごちそうさま。
So it's like, well, you can go see for yourself. But anyways, I'm going home. Wait, Amane, so please be careful when you go home.
君こそ小鳥と仲良くするんだぞ。
So Amane, who had appeared suddenly, made a cheerful face and then left.
これで飛べない日もシミュレーターで訓練できるね。
Yeah, well, Kotori can too. So, with a thud, I plunked down on my bed. I have returned from the secret base and have taken my bath. Okay, so it's almost midnight. And today had been a hard day with the test flight starting from the morning. Well, I'm tired. And while lying on my bed, I reached my hand out to the picture frame that was standing on my desk. So, the picture that they took on Amane's last day of being as a member of the Soaring Club. Kotori, I wonder how you're doing. In the picture, Kotori had a triumphant look on her face. And she looks cute. So Kotori's face in that picture is so cute that my chest begins to, hurt. So this is my first time to be away from her for so long. So she was always near me from the day I first met her in episode 1. And even on days where we fought and weren't talking, we were under the same roof and were able to see each other's faces in one way or another. And even if I wasn't not able to see her directly, I could sense her presence. And even more than being a friend or lover, she was like a family to me. And I want her to come back soon. Rather, I wonder if she'll come back at all. So as Kotori had said, her father was doting and he may not let her return. Well, maybe at most he'll request Kotori to stay longer. Well, no. So that couldn't possibly... she said that Hibari would take her back even if she had to abduct her. Well, I returned the picture frame to the desk and looked in my cell phone into my hand. So there are no calls from her in my history log. I hadn't gotten any emails from her either. And I want to hear at least her voice, so I'm going to try to call her. I haven't really spoken to Kotori on the phone before. And the reason that we are in the same class, the same club, and live in the same dormitory, so it's rarely necessary. Okay, so I see Kotori a lot, so there's not really a point to have to call her or email her because I can always go and find her. So I have never called her just to talk to me or with her. But so I want to hear her voice. Wait a second. So this is her first time to be alone with her family in some time. I can't intrude on that. It's at the same time, Kotori hasn't been home for so long, so it's best to dedicate all that time to Kotori and family before I step in. She'll come back the day after tomorrow, in any case. And then we'll be able to talk as much as we want. So I have to resist. And at the right time, his phone rings. So Kotori Habane. So that's what it says on the incoming call window. Well, There you go. So, hello?
もしもし
So, Kotori is the one who does the call first. Wait, Kotori, so what's wrong?
葵くんこそどうしたのなんかすごい勢いだったけど
So, what's with the excitement? No, well, nothing. Well, don't worry about it. So the phone had rung as though the call had been arranged beforehand, so I had answered in kind of a strange way. I took a deep breath and calmed my heart. So, what's wrong? So why are you calling me?
あのね寝る前にちょっと声が聞きたくて
Okay, so on the other side, Kotori wants to hear Aoi's voice. So Kotori spoke like she was embarrassed. Even though I'm just hearing her through the phone, I can imagine her cheeks brightening like a just ripening apple, and gave her shifting out of embarrassment as she talks.
今忙しい
No, not at all. Well, I just wanted to hear your voice too.
そうなんだよかった
So, how are things with you over there? So, you hadn't been home for a while, right?
楽しんでるよお父さんもお母さんも優しいよかえって居心地が悪いくらい
Well, that's a given. So, they hadn't seen their daughter in a while, so they're happy but maybe a bit flustered. And also, Kotori had that first said she wouldn't go home, but then suddenly she did. So, I think it was after the confession that Kotori felt more comfortable in fulfilling her parents' request and Hibari's request. So her parents probably had no idea what had happened. Well, I'm sure for this they don't mind.
今日の夕飯ね私が作ってあげたんだほら前にアゲハと葵くんと3人で作った料理覚えてるチキンをトマトと一緒に煮て
Oh, so let's see. Basque style chicken stew.
そうそれそしたらお父さんもお母さんも驚いてた私実家にいた頃は料理なんてからきしだったものすごいねって褒めてくれたよ
Well, I'm glad to hear that. So that was when Kotori and I weren't calling each other by our first names yet. So only Kotori didn't have a dorm duty, so I wanted to give her a role. I made her come and we made everyone's dinner. So that was when I was kind of mentioning, well, it's getting too hard for having just me to maintain the Flying Fish Manor and do all the duties. So cooking, washing dishes, and as everyone liked it, Kotori slowly began to open up to the other dorm students, and everyone recognized me as the dorm mother. And it was all thanks to Ageha, who was like, well, one thing you can do is you can try to make your dinners a bit more appetizing than what you're currently making. And she helped I would make that really nice meal.
私ねトビウオ荘に下宿してちゃんと頑張ってるってお父さんとお母さんに見せたかったの家を出たのが無駄じゃなかったって思ってほしくて
Well, it sounds like you succeeded. I mean, they complimented you, right?
美味しいって言ってたお母さんにレシピ教えてあげたわ
I imagined mother and daughter standing in the kitchen and cooking together, and a pleasant mood came over me.
明日は私がお母さんから料理を習うから帰ったら葵くんに食べさせてあげるわね
So the taste of food from the Habane household. I'm looking forward to it. Well, I'm sure it will be, let's see, things that Kotori likes to eat. I'm really looking forward to it.
葵くんは何してた？
So, what about you? Well, the same as always. So today we did tests from the morning, and after that, well, lots of things. So speaking of which, Amane came in and she said she got a license to ride a scooter. So, how do you feel, Kotori?
あまねちゃんがバイクに乗るの？大丈夫なのかしら？
So even Kotori can sense like, well, I kind of question Amane's ability to handle a scooter or motorcycle. So Kotori had the same reaction too. There you go. And after that, I told Kotori about the silly things that had happened while she'd be gone. Kotori also told me about the silly things that had happened at her place. And I'm sure if other people heard, they wouldn't care about the content. But we talked enthusiastically, and before we knew, it was considered past midnight. Or it was past midnight.
そろそろ寝ないと。明日朝早いの。
So do you have something to do?
お父さんがね、上野の動物園に連れて行ってくれるの。
So
パンダがいるのよ。
I'm going to the zoo tomorrow. Oh, wow, that sounds nice. So, pictures?
トラもライオンも、それからワニも取ってくるね。
So why is she focusing on the carnivores? Well, I think they're cool and much more entertaining to watch.
うん。
Alright, so good night. We couldn't say those words. Well, I miss you. My real feelings suddenly leak out.
私も葵くんに早く会いたい。
So I have to be patient for 2 more days. And that's why I was thinking I shouldn't intrude on Kotori while she's alone in her family, or with her family.
こんなに離れて過ごすの初めてだよね。
Yeah.
葵くんがいないとこんなに寂しいなんて知らなかった。いつも寝るとき思ってるよ、葵くんのこと。
Well, me too. So I always sleep after looking at the pictures we looked together. And I could sense Kotori's embarrassed laughter on the other end.
離れて過ごして実感しまくり。私は葵くんのことが大好きなんだって。そう思うと実家に帰るのも悪くなかったかな。自分の気持ちを確かめられたから。
Well, it does help me understand and feel how much I really love Aoi, given that we're now distant apart. Kotori? Well, I like you, too. I love you. So on the other end, Kotori laughs timidly.
それじゃあもう寝るね。
Okay, I'll sleep too, so enjoy the pandas, okay? And good night, Kotori.
おやすみなさい、葵くん。
So the conversation ends, and I can hear that she kissed me over the phone. And my face feels hot. So, gosh darn it, why did she kiss me? I can't sleep now, so now I'm too excited for all this. So I squirmed around on my bed. So I think Kotori returns today.
腹いっぱい。
So Hat, who had been eating his food, suddenly started making a commotion. He ignored his food and started, flapping around the kitchen.
ハートちゃん。
So what's with him? It wasn't like that glutton to leave his food. Well, could it be? So I ran for the entrance, trailing a bit behind Hat. And standing there was...
あんた、いい子にしてた？
Okay, so Kotori does come back today, and that's why Hat was excited, and he could sense Kotori from a distant away. So, have you been a good boy, Hat? Yes. Kotori gathered Hat onto her lap and stroked his back. Oh, Kotori!
葵くん。
So Kotori looked at me and then timidly averted her gaze. I couldn't take my eyes off of Kotori. So even though we only been apart for a few days, it felt much longer. So welcome back, Kotori.
ただいま。
So her bashful smile was overwhelmingly cute.
これがアゲハので、こっちがアマネちゃん。で、あったあった。これが朝と夜の分。
So now Kotori's going to share some of the souvenirs that she got from the zoo to everyone. Oh, so Kotori distributes the souvenirs. There you go.
パンダクッキーだ。かわいい。で、これがカナの。
Okay, so Kana.
おお、ワニのスリッパだ。かっこいい。ありがとう。
So I think looking at the carnivores was more and more interesting, and plus there are better souvenirs for them.
写真もたくさん撮って
And
きたの
pictures.
よ。
Kotori spreads the pictures she took out on the table.
トラでしょ？ワニでしょ？それから見て見て。ハットの仲間たち。
So there's a tiger, crocodile, and this. So other ducks. Asa and the others look at the pictures excitedly. Oh, so Hibari. So I gave some cold barley tea to Hibari, who was sitting a distant away.
いただきます。今日も暑いからたくさん汗かいちゃって。
Kotori's father had work again starting today. It seems that he tearfully gave up the rule of taking his daughter back and left it to Hibari. So, how was your home?
父も母もすごく喜んでいました。小鳥ちゃんが帰ってきてくれて。
Kotori, who was excitedly talking about the zoo pictures that she laid out, narrows her eyes and stares at Hibari.
まるで昔に戻ったみたいで。
And I wish she could stay longer. And then she was overcome with emotion and began to cry. Oh, are you okay, Hibari?
ごめんなさい。つい嬉しくて。
I quietly handed her a tissue.
これもトビウオソウの皆さんのおかげだと両親も感謝していました。小鳥ちゃんが帰るって言ってくれたのは水瀬さんのおかげなんですよね。
But thanks to you people, she's going to be okay here, right? Yeah, well, I didn't really. Wait, I forgot what Hibari said. Let's see. Oh, okay. So it's like, well, you did help encourage Kotori to go home.
小鳥ちゃんがそう言ってま
So
し
now
た
her
よ。
parents are happy. I see. So I want you to say more things like this. It's not weird for you to say things like that. Well, I probably just guided her a little bit. It seemed like she had wanted to go home for a while. It's just that she didn't have the impetus. So while I'm saying, Hibari looks at me with kindness in her eyes. So Hibari?
帰りの車の中で小鳥ちゃんから聞きました。今お付き合いなさってるんですよね。
Yes, I do have the honor of dating Kotori.
そう。小鳥ちゃんに彼氏が。
So she's moved to tears again. Oh, I'm so happy that Kotori has advanced in life. However, her tears don't seem to be only those of happiness. Oh, here you go.
ありがとう。
So Hibari takes the tissue I hand her, blows her nose, and wipes her tears away. So
小鳥ちゃんのことよろしくお願いしますね。ひばりね、仕事行かなくていいの？
Hey, so for you, Hibari sister, you know you have work to do, right? Kotori looks at the clock and calls over to Hibari.
いいの？もう十分遅刻だから。
Well, I'll just come in late. I think it's more important that I spend time with Kotori than worrying about to be on time.
よくないでしょ。早
Well,
く行きな
just hurry
よ。
up.
でももうちょっと小鳥ちゃんと一緒にいた
There
い
you
し。
go.
ダメ。早く行くの。ほら、ハットに襲わせるわよ。
Well, you leave or I send Hat to make you leave.
それだ
No,
けは
don't
許
do
し
that.
て。
So Hibari stood up in a hurry.
じゃあお姉ちゃんもう行くわね。小鳥ちゃんちゃんと。はい
So,
はい。
okay, take good care. Make sure you don't cause any more trouble. Okay.
それから。
So, glance. Hibari looks at me.
お付き合いは清く正しく美しくよ。
Kotori's face went red.
ハット。
Alright, Hat. My sister refuses to leave, so.
わわ。
Hibari left as though she were being chased out. Come on, Kotori.
いいのいいの。このくらいしないとお昼ご飯食べるまでここに居座っちゃうんだか
Well, I
ら。
had to do it because Hibari would stick around for so much time and.
それよりお腹空いた。何かない？
So wait a second. I'll make something for you. So I opened the fridge and surveyed the leftovers.
おかえり小鳥。
Okay, so now they're at the secret base, and let's see how it goes from here.
アゲハ、元気だった？
So as soon as they met at the secret base, they took on beaming expressions. So if Kotori hadn't been in a wheelchair, perhaps they would have hugged. That's true.
おお、小鳥だ。
So Amane, who had been facing the computer and typing away, lifted her head after a delay.
あまねちゃんもいる。事故に遭ってないでしょうね。
So I'm still concerned about your new license and the scooter, so
そんなのあったりしないぞ。私はちゃんと免許も持ってるんだからな。
but Kotori can still remember about the Amane and her piloting skills and the way that she wobbled when she was trying to do some complicated maneuvers.
ダメよ。そういう慢心が事故の元なんだから。あまねちゃんはビクビクしてるくらいがちょうどいいの。
分かった。
So after meeting with Amane, after a while, Kotori suddenly begins to lecture her. And that imprudent side of hers is cute too.
実家どうだった？
So how was your place?
楽しかったよ。でも退屈だったかな。
But it
何
got
にもすることないんですもの。
so it got boring after a while.
そうそう、お土産買ってきたの。
So Amane gets a souvenir. So Kotori lined up panda cookies and panda jam buns.
かわいい。食べるのもったいなくなっちゃうね。あまねちゃん、はいこれ。
And some for you too.
なんだこれは。
So what's this?
交通安全のお守り。バイクの免許を取ったって聞いて、慌てて近所の神社にお祈りに行ったのよ。
So more things to annoy Amane about with her new license.
たっぷりと情念を込めておいたから、肌身離さず持ち歩くこと。いいわね。
わかった。
Yes. Well, no one cut in and asked why emotion would enhance the charm.
でね、いっぱい写真撮ったの。
And plus pictures. So Kotori spreads out the pictures again.
動物園行ったんだ。いいなあ。パンダだ。とっても可愛かったわ。パンダって本当に白黒なのよ。
So Kotori speaks passionately while also showing pictures of tigers, lions, and crocodiles. And it seems that the zoo was extremely fun. So after listening to Kotori talk about her trip for a while,
私らもあんたに見せたいものがあるんだ。
so in return, I have something to show you, says Ageha.
何？
So what is it?
何これ？
So looking at the thing Ageha wanted to show Kotori, Kotori bent her head over to the side.
まあまだ未完成だからね。この辺りにシートが来るわけ。で、これが。
So they wanted to show Kotori the new cockpit that's designed for her and her disabilities. And let's see how Kotori reacts.
もしかして私用のコックピット。ご明察。
Yep. So since there is no seat, it is very hard to see it from just a glance.
本当は小鳥先輩が戻ってくる前に仕上げたかったんですけど。テストしながらじゃさすがに間に合わなくてね。
Okay?
でももうすぐ完成ですよ。
But it's almost done. So Kotori got closer and looked hard at it.
これが操縦桿で、こっちのレバーでラダー操作だ。両方とも手で操作できる。
もう一息で完成するから。そしたら飛べるよ。あんたも。
And once that's done, you'll be able to fly.
ありがとう、みんな。
Well, everyone smiled as if to say, "You're welcome."
さてと、じゃ今日の部活を始めますか。
So, time for activities. Everyone was full of energy and set about working. So I wonder how today went. But anyways, it's night. So Kotori muttered this while watching Amane start the engine to her scooter. Oh, Amane, so please be careful going home.
おう、任せろ。制限速度はちゃんと守るぞ。
Oh, don't worry. So Amane got on her scooter while saying this and added,
じゃあな、おやすみ。
Amane-san, さようなら。さようなら。
And the scooter carrying Amane chugged along slowly, following the speed limit that she promised, and drove away.
さて、私らも帰りますか。
So it's now time for us to go back too. So a convenience store came into view, and this is where Ageha splits off to go home. Ageha came over to where I was.
帰ったら、ちゃんと小鳥に甘えさせてあげなさいよ。
Wait, what do you mean?
あの子、ずっと葵の方を見て、そわそわしてたわよ。
Oh, okay.
それじゃ、また明日ね。
Anyways, see you later.
バイバイ、アゲハ。
おやすみなさい、アゲハ先輩。また明日。
So now the rest are at their home, the Flying Fish Manor. So Aoi, Kotori, Asa, and Yoru.
葵先輩、小鳥先輩、今日もお疲れ様でした。お疲れ様。
Well, same to you, Asa and Yoru. Well, I'm sorry to always make you tag along.
別に暇ですから。
Well, they can choose not to tag along if they don't want to be there. So why don't you two take a bath and also for Kotori?
わかった。
Okay. Okay, so during that time, I guess I'll do some cleaning.
行きましょう、小鳥先輩。
So I wonder how much cleaning Aoi did while he waited for Asa and Yoru and Kotori to be finished with their bath. So it was finally time for my bath after the girls' bath ended. And I stayed in the bath until my fingers got wrinkled and washed off the sweat and that accumulated during the day. And inside the dorm, everything has gone quiet, and Asa and the others must have already gone to sleep. And while walking down the hallway towards my air-conditioned room,
じー。
we see Kotori staring at Aoi. So I wonder if Kotori's wondering, so did Aoi-kun keep his promise that he would not go out with anyone else except for me? So from a crack in the door, Kotori was looking at me. So it seemed that she had been watching me to pass by. Hey, so what are you doing? Kotori opened the door, came halfway out into the hallway, and restlessly surveyed the area. And then, after judging that no one was around, she came out and moved towards me.
会いたかった。
Okay. So Kotori, who can't hug me from the front, took my hand from the side and squeezed it forcefully. Okay, so Kotori wants to give Aoi a hug, and it's like, well, it's embarrassing if I do it in front of other people, so I'm going to make sure first nobody is around before I make my move.
会いたかった、会いたかった、会いたかった。
So while saying that, she pulled on my arm. Oh, so then just around the time when summer was about to start. So Kotori let out a cute groan, then looked around again and leading me by the hand, moved her wheelchair. So wait, where are you going? She does not answer. I was pulled into Kotori's room just like that. And I wonder why Kotori wants Aoi in her room tonight.
ハト、 しばらく外に出てて。
Okay, so I had to stay outside.
くわー。
What? Okay, so Kotori threw out Hat, who was protesting, and shut the door. And she blocked the pet door with a bag so that it could not be opened either. And then she took my arm and squeezed it again.
葵くん、会いたかったよ。
Well, I missed you too, Kotori. And with my other hand, I stroked her hair. And the scent of shampoo drifted faintly from her so glossy hair. And the lights weren't on in the middle or in the room, and perhaps because of the dimness, the silence was almost palpable.
ね
So what's wrong? So yes?
え、浮気しなかった？
So did you fulfill your promise and not cheat? Of course I didn't.
よかった。
So Kotori rubbed her cheeks against my hand as if out of relief. And somehow it feels good.
葵くん、お願いがあるんだけど。
So what is it? Okay, so what is it?
髪、もっと撫でて。
So stroke me more? Okay. She didn't even have to ask. I continued to stroke her hair. Her glossy hair was still a bit damp from her bath and felt different than usual. And I stroked it softly. And with a contented body on her face, Kotori trembled slightly. So, do you like having your hair stroked? I'm sure that's an obvious yes.
そうみたい。葵くんに撫でてもらって発見したの。
So she answers while shivering absorbedly. And she was like a cat who had gotten a catnip.
葵くんの手、大きいね。私の頭、すっぽり入っちゃいそう。
So I think Kotori's trying to say that, well, I'm small and it seems like your hand or your palm of your hand is big enough to stroke my hair greatly. Well, that's because you have a small head. There you go, Kotori. So Kotori's head is round and nicely shaped. So natural beauties are made of different stuff than the rest of us. Well, I'm not sure if that's how you can put it, but still, I always see Kotori as special. And completely absorbed, Kotori squeezed my hand and brought it towards her chest.
ね
So next thing I knew, Kotori was looking up at me with moist eyes. And as Kotori's in a wheelchair, she almost always looks up at me. So it's not as though she's doing it on purpose, but it's cute to the point of being sneaky. And then... Okay, so what does she want now? Kotori puckered her lips and pointed them upwards. Ah, you spoiled. I gave her a peck on the lips.
え、もう一回。
More? Well, I guess there's no choice. We kissed, lightly pressing our lips together.
にゃははは。帰省の前の日にキスなんてするから、もうずっと頭から離れなかったのよ。枕にチューとかしてたんだから。
Really? Oh, I'm sorry to have done that to you. So maybe I should have not kissed you during that night.
葵くんはなんだか余裕って感じ。私のことあんまり考えなかった？
But I wonder, so were you really thinking about me? So I was really cared about you that I went this far. What about you? No, there's no way that would happen. And I kissed my pillow too. And I wonder if he really did or he's just trying to come up with good words to comfort Kotori.
本当？
Really? Yeah, really. But the actual thing is much better.
でしょ
So Kotori was being shy as I kissed her again. And Kotori's always cute, but today she looks even cuter than usual. Maybe it's because I hadn't been able to see her for a while. That's true. So still holding hands with Kotori, I sat down on her bed, and then I looked around her room vaguely. So this is the third or fourth time I've entered Kotori's room. And this is one of the more happier times he's in Kotori's room. Because if you remember, in the beginning when he knocked on Kotori's door so that he could invite her to go shopping with Ageha, Kotori was all upset and she pointed at Aoi. And I forgot which episode that was. So no matter how close we are, I can't very well just enter a girl's room. So are you going to turn on the lights?
ああ、もう寝ようと思ってたから。そしたら葵くんがお風呂から出てくる音が聞こえて。
So that's why she was peering at me through the crack in her door like that.
あんまり見ないで。可愛くないでしょ私の部屋。
You know, my room isn't special. It's just a normal room. Well, that's not true. It's simple.
だって物が多いと邪魔になるから。
So there was basically nothing on place on the floor, probably because it would get in the way when she rolled her wheelchair.
部屋だと本を読むか勉強するかハートと遊ぶくらいしかすることがないし。
And I don't do anything special in here. Just play with hat, books, study. Kotori doesn't have any typical hobbies, it seems. So I heard that she likes to move her body, so before the accident, she probably exercised a lot. So if you remember, Hibara mentioned that Kotori was this volleyball player.
ねえ、隣に座りたい。
So Kotori held out both of her hands. Okay, alright. And I went to lift up Kotori, but then waited for a moment. Wait, so how do you usually get into your bed then?
ここに車椅子を置いて、車輪が動かないようにロックして。
So she demonstrated the actions while she spoke.
でも、葵くんには見せたくない。
But I think the problem is that it's kind of embarrassing to see Kotori having to go the hard way to get into bed. So lock her wheelchair in place and then slowly move into the bed. Wait, why?
なんとなく、きっと変だって思うだろうから。
And it kind of makes her look special. So I had seen her get in and out of her wheelchair, and it looked like she just doing that was rather difficult. And I'm sure it's a lot of effort to get into the bed. So I took Kotori's hand and held her close. So tonight, Aoi is going to lift Kotori and put her into bed. And let's see how he does it. So I lifted her like that and then set her down on the bed. And that's kind of like doing the princess carry. So it's not very strange that Kotori would blush. You can see the red under her nose. So red cheeks. So Kotori was at her wit's end. Perhaps she hadn't emotionally prepared for it. Well, to be honest, I felt a little awkward too, but Kotori was more bashful than she had to be. So I was fine. And then I set her down the bed, or so I thought. Uh-oh. So Kotori tumbled backwards and fell over. Oh, are you okay? I'm okay. Kotori spoke shyly, facing away from me. It wasn't just awkwardness, it seemed. She really was embarrassed. Now I realize that for Kotori, who doesn't have use of her lower body, it's easy to fall forward or backwards when she does not have a seat back and isn't careful. And I reach my hand out to help her up, but she refuses to take my hand. Maybe she's just embarrassed that I saw her like this. I'm sure that's true. Well, you can just stay like that then. And I lifted Kotori's leg onto the bed and then got onto the bed myself and laid next to her.
Aoi-kun?
Okay, so now we see Kotori on her bed. So this is easier, isn't it?
でも近いよ。
But you're close. Well, I thought it would be better to be close.
近い方がいい。けど恥ずかしい。
But it's kind of embarrassing. Kotori says this with her eyes tearing up. So I brought my face and lips to hers and then kissed the tip of her nose. So can I hug you?
ちょっとだけなら。
So I hug Kotori gently, enveloping her small body. And I hope Kotori's okay with it. So wrapped in my arms, Kotori let out a strange sigh. So your hair smells good, like shampoo. I pressed my nose to her hair and took in the scent.
葵くんは汗の匂いがする。
But then again, you don't smell that good. You smell like sweat. Wait, no way. So I just took a bath.
でもいい匂いだよ。くんか。癖になりそうな匂い。
But then again, that's kind of like a typical guy, so sweat is normal. Hey, don't talk about people like they are some kind of delicacy. I unwrapped my arms from her and looked at her from the front. So Kotori, I love you. Kotori looked back at me.
このまま眠っちゃえばいい夢見られそう。おやすみなさい。
Okay, good night. So she closes her eyes. Hey, don't go to sleep.
いいじゃない。葵くんに添い寝してもらいながら寝たいんだもん。ねえ、子守歌歌ってよ。
So please sing a lullaby. Kotori, aren't you being a little defenseless? I might play tricks on you while you are sleeping.
マジックでヒゲ描いたりとか。
So like drawing on my face? She says that seriously. Wait, could be.
鼻をつまんだり、ほっぺをつっついたりするのならいいよ、しても。
So somehow it seems like she wants me to tease her like that. Okay, I'll pinch your nose until you wake up.
それくらいならいいよ。
So you're okay?
それ、下手したら私が死んじゃうじゃない。
So it might suffocate me. You're slow to realize. Well, I'm not going to cover your mouth.
でも、もしそんないたずらされたとしても許す。葵くんだから。
So if it's Aoi-kun, then it's okay. Well, I'm not going to do anything to you in a negative way.
知ってる。葵くん優しいもん。
So Kotori changes her expression and smiles at me. I'm not convinced, as she called me, let's see, nice right after saying I was mean. But I guess that matters is that she trusts me.
髪、もう一回撫でて。
Okay. So as I reply, I reach my hand out and stroke Kotori's head gently.
はにゃ
And Kotori likes it. Well, it really makes you happy, doesn't it, when I stroke your hair?
好き。すっごく好き。
She answered affirmatively with so much power. Well, I feel happy too.
私の髪を撫でるのが？
Well, to be with you.
そっか。不意打ちずるい。
So from a moment ago, all of her reactions have been funny and cute.
私も好きなんだから。葵くんのことすっごく好きなんだから。
So you don't have to be so earnest. I'm really happy, but...
だって本当会いたかったんだから。
So Kotori whispered this in a lonely way, inching closer to me a bit. Well, now we are together.
だからこうやってくっついてるの。あの時の寂しさの分も。
So she must have been really lonely. But it's strange. We were only apart for a little bit, but I missed you so much.
本当不思議。
But it's strange still. So Kotori nods several times while she says this.
葵くんに会いたいなって考えながらぼーっとして、はっと気づいて時計を見ても数分しか過ぎてないの。実家の部屋での10分が1年くらいに感じてた。
So, by the calculations, I would be an old man after only a few weeks, like Rip Van Winkle or something.
私が亀？
No, I didn't say that. You're a beautiful princess.
葵くんからお姫様扱いされた。
So after, are you pleased, my princess?
ええ、とっても。
So I caught a glimpse of the pleased princess smile in the moonlight.
そして葵くんは私の王子様。
Well, I'm glad I'm not Rip Van Winkle.
玉手箱欲しい？
Well, I don't need anything dangerous like that. And it's not like Kotori has such a box anyways.
じゃあ何が欲しい？
So what do you want then? Let's see. Well, I don't actually have much thinking to do. Well, I already have what I wanted. So I softly stroke Kotori's hair.
幸せ。
Well, I'm happy that I finally got what I wanted too.
でも葵くんだって私のだからね。
But you're mine. Well, of course I am. And by my time with Kotori and the mood of the moment, along with everything else, is a treasure to me. And channeling that feeling, I softly stroke Kotori's head.
もっと撫でていてほしい。
I will. And her smooth hair, which gives no resistance at all, passes right through my fingers. And the texture felt so nice to touch, I couldn't take my hand away. And while I continued to slowly move my hand through her hair, Kotori closed her eyes peacefully. And although she's always changing her expressions while awake, now she looks so calm. So what's going on now? So when she's awake, that means that now she is... Kotori? Princess? So Kotori is now asleep. Well, I can't believe this girl. Ha 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 ha. Well, my sudden urge to laugh must have been come on because I was overcome with how happy I felt. And it's the unmistakable truth that right now I'm in love with Kotori. Well, I guess I didn't have to sing a lullaby to her to make her go to sleep after all. Anyways, I've granted my princess's wish of sleeping next to her, so it's fine. Her sleeping face looks so content, so I'm sure she is satisfied. So what about for Aoi? And most importantly, I'm able to sleep next to Kotori. Nothing could make me happier than this. Good night, Kotori. I lightly kiss her forehead and fix her comforter. I close my eyes while taking in the sweet scent that floated about her hair. A day of summer vacation. Okay, so this marks a good place to end this episode. So I did stretch it a little bit longer than usual, past an hour, because I wanted the entire Aoi sleeping with Kotori on her bed in this episode. So this, if I remember from the Japanese version, is also where Kotori's first H scene takes place. So after that, the next morning, Aoi tries to go back to his room, but he gets caught by Kanako, who is wondering why Kotori kicked Hat out of her room and why would Aoi be in Kotori's room. And it does come down to one obvious conclusion. So Aoi tries to get Kanako to not tell anyone, but Kanako mentions that, well, because Hat was angry that he got kicked out, he went to sleep with me, Kanako, instead. So now that Kotori's back, for a larger picture, I wonder how it's going to fare for Kotori being able to fly on the new glider with controls that are suited for her and her disability in the legs. So hopefully it does go well, and hopefully Kotori can get a good handle of the controls, because it takes some time to get used to it, and I'm sure at some point Kotori might want to consider getting certified and a license to fly gliders. But that's in the future, and with that in mind, I'll see you later.